So, I know that some of us must be wondering where Sir Ifeanyi Ejiofor has been all this while. Ifeanyi Ejiofor was formerly Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer. So recently, earlier today, he put out a press statement which was published. And it's a very long note, I must inform you. I know that most of us, Nigerians, especially Africans in general, we don't like reading long notes. Once we see long notes, we scroll them and pass. So I will save you that stress. I'm going to read it for you while you just listen. You can just put it on, raise your volume and drop your phone somewhere. You'll be listening to it while doing whatever you're doing. But I bet you it's something very interesting. It will make an interesting read. You're going to hear a lot of things you never knew about this case. So much revelation in here. And it's also in tandem with my perspective, or some of my perspective, with regards to this case and the judgment thereof. So just listen while I read out his statement. These are all his words. I'm not going to add or subtract. So he started by saying, Nnamdi Kanu's avoidable ordeal, how amateur legal showmen led a high-profile case into a judicial ambush. When justice became a performance, the tragic consequence of turning Nnamdi Kanu's trial into content. I had genuinely intended, out of sheer exhaustion and out of respect for the sensitivity of this moment, to refrain from revisiting this saga. But the avalanche of calls, messages, and trembling voices from our people has made silence no longer an option. I am therefore compelled to offer sober introspection, especially as someone who successfully steered this very case for nearly a decade, securing landmark victories, unassailable legal milestones, and enduring a long trail of threats, assassination attempts, and brushes with death. Through all of this, grace remained my only constant protection. However, after Thursday's spectacle, correcting the wide conjectures, poorly manufactured narratives, and brazen misinformation now circulating like a digital epidemic has become absolutely necessary. The first revelation they won't tell you. During the period our team handled this matter from 2015 to December 2023, up until Professor Mike Ozekome, SAN, assumed the leadership of the legal team in 2022, we were on the threshold of securing yet another major relief for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, particularly after the Court of Appeal discharged and acquitted him in 2022. Sustained pressure, strategic diplomacy, and airtight legal maneuvering had placed us on the verge of another monumental breakthrough. Regrettably, certain sensitive details of this progress were, perhaps innocently, disclosed by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to some of these clueless clowns. Rather than support a strategy they barely understood, they seized the information as an opportunity to derail the entire process and treacherously orchestrated a change in the status quo. Consequently, we exited the team gloriously and with our integrity intact. Let us speak plainly. A high-profile, internationally sensitive criminal trial is not a circus ring. But once these bloated, delusional entertainers in wigs inserted themselves into the process, everything degenerated into a grotesque parody of legal representation. Instead of crafting legal strategy, they crafted Instagram stories. Instead of mastering case law, they mastered camera angles. At every court session, their priority wasn't research or preparation. It was posing, filming, updating, grandstanding, and going viral. Meanwhile, the accused man's fate hung by a thread. the most tragic part of it all. Even after the court explicitly warned that self representation in a complex constitutional and criminal matter was dangerous, these consultants encouraged it, clapping like paid spectators in a village arena. And so the unthinkable happened. 1. A trial that could have been paused or avoided ab initio had the proper methodology and engagement been applied. 2. A conviction that could have been prevented. 3. An outcome that was entirely avoidable, yet allowed to proceed under the guidance of legal lightweights intoxicated by social media relevance. They railroaded him, knowingly or unknowingly, into the savage pit of a full criminal trial, fully aware that other lawful avenues existed. Even while the trial was ongoing, they busied themselves with dishing out falsehoods, half truths, and misleading updates to an unsuspecting public. Every lie told outside the courtroom became a landmine inside the courtroom. Every exaggerated update became a contradiction the prosecution gleefully documented. Every camera stunt became a professional embarrassment. And now, instead of remorse, they have resumed their post trial routine: fresh videos, fresh lies, fresh false hopes, desperate for clicks. The tragedy continues because the vulnerable still believe them. The greatest puzzle of all: how did foremost legal minds, globally respected senior advocates of Nigeria such as Chief Kano Agabi, San, Chief Onyechi Ikpeazu, San, and other erudite members of the Inaba, men fully versed in the anatomy of high-wire criminal litigation, become disengaged at the most critical moment of the trial, only for mediocre adventures adventurers to hijack a matter of international significance and reduce it to a TikTok legal carnival. Who replaces world-class physicians with herbal storytellers during brain surgery? Who replaces strategic diplomacy with reckless grandstanding? Who replaces law with theatrics? Only a system already preparing for disaster. Where we go from here? For any meaningful rescue effort by globally respected legal experts, the first task must be to clean up the monumental damage inflicted by these self-advertising jesters. A comprehensive review of methodology, effective engagement, and drastically reduce publicity must precede any intervention. Only then can a coherent, sophisticated legal and political strategy be fashioned. This is not the time for comedy, not the time for inflated egos, and certainly not the time for social media theatrics. It is time for soberness, time for competence, time for real advocacy. Enough is enough. Signed, Sir Ifeanyi Ejiofor, Esquire, KAC, November 22, 2025. These were his words, penned down on his wall. So reflect over these words. You can repeat the video again, play them again until you grasp every bit of what he was trying to say. Actually, I can see reasons with him. I see some truths in what he's saying. Yes, There were things I never understood, but from what he just said now, I quite understand, and agrees with him. Those legal team that represented Nnamdi Kanu, no. Because I used to see some things they did during the court cases. They would be busy, trying to appear before camera. When pictures are being taken, they always want to be on the forefront, on the fourth row, to be shown on the camera. I mean, it's just like they are trying to promote themselves. They're trying to showcase themselves instead of defending their client. They were all out for social media relevance, trying to sell themselves. They don't care what happens, what becomes of their client. I saw those things. If you go back to all the videos made before about Nnamdi Kanu's cases, if your mind had never went there, you will start seeing all those things. You will start saying, yeah, this is true. See what the guy did. See what this. I mean, they were just after the to go viral, to be seen as a part of the legal team, you know. So I wouldn't want to, kind of manipulate your thoughts, making you to see things from my own perspective. No, I want you to ponder over these words of Mr. Ifeanyi Ejiofor, and you can watch them again and draw your own conclusion. I'll be bringing you more news whenever they come out, so that you too will be informed, because they say information is power. Thank you and God bless. Ciao.